Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Trina here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 4 of What If Uraraka was an Electromaster? I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So we begin. 3 months ago, at a certain research center under Dr. Kyudai Garaki's care, the birth of yet another sister clone was witnessed by Chiyo Tsuneji and a young female assistant. This time around, it was the 9,982nd specimen. The cultivation chamber was first drained, and as the clone laid eyes on the world around her for the first time, she looked around first with curiosity, but this soon turned to fear, and upon not understanding her surroundings, she began to cry out like an infant loudly. Long, wet hair cascaded down from the clone's head, some of it spiraling just right to cover her privates as she was completely naked. Not a single piece of clothing was currently worn by the just-born sister. As you can see, she has the mental age of a newborn. She doesn't understand speech and can't even walk on her own. Head scientist Chiyo explained to her young assistant. She had just been assigned, so this was the first time the young woman witnessed this standard procedure. The young assistant hadn't focused on what her superior had told her as she tried to dry up the crying girl's hair with a towel. To her, this child was a human who deserved help. What do you think you're doing? I'm drying her up. You don't want her to catch a cold now, do you? The assistant shot back defiantly. The old doctor just looked at the brat with disinterest. Just another one of those disposable sisters. Like I could be bothered doing that with every single one. And even less now that we're doing the next batch in one go. Chiyo pointed out, making sure that the girl heard it loud and clear. Chiyo Tsuneji was well aware that going through with this order was a rather ineffective way to accelerate the experiment. But these were orders given by the one on top, so she couldn't go against that. Plugging the clone into the testament came next, a machine created by Dr. Garaki. With it, the sisters could easily be given inputs to learn speech logic and basic motor functions quickly. Once finished, the girl opened her eyes and got off the machine. Hello, are you capable of understanding what I'm saying? The granny asked. The Uraraka clone, upon hearing this, turned her head to meet the person that had spoken to her. She had to respond immediately.
That's an introduction to a casual conversation. In other words, a greeting Uraraka determines.
The girl answered in the third person with a monotone voice. What's your model number? Chiyo then questioned.
Number 9,982.
Good, that means that you're connected to the network. Well, for starters, put these on. A closed pack with a hospital gown was given to 9982, to which the girl immediately began to put on without a hint of emotion. How can she do that without showing even the slightest hint of embarrassment? The assistant asked while covering her own face. She was the one embarrassed. Oh, that? It'd be a pain if we put the unnecessary emotions just to have them rebelling against us. And it's not like we currently have the skills to add emotions. Granny Tsuneji answered, explaining with the bare minimum.
Sorry to have kept you waiting. What's next? Uraraka awaits her orders.
An hour later, the sister had gotten all her tests done and had even received a haircut to match the original's look. According to results, she was in a perfect health and ready to be deployed. Seeing that they had finished early, Chiyo suggested a quick break, to which the assistant agreed as she then served them an expensive tea that she had bought earlier today. It was called Golden Tips Imperial, and it was highly regarded amongst the tea lover community. But upon tasting it, 9,982 decided to speak up.
It's horrible,
she exclaimed in a more normal voice, yet still a bit monotone. What? That's impossible! The young assistant cried out. Maybe it's just too much for a clone like you, she added.
Did you steam the tea properly? Uraraka asked.
No? The college girl responded in a total bewilderment.
It's a basic step in bringing out the flavor in tea. Also, if the temperature of the water is too low, there won't be any freshness to it, Uraraka observes. An electric pot isn't suited to make tea. The milk should be prepared in a milk pitcher that's heated in boiling water. You should have poured an amount of tea that is equivalent to 1.7 times that of the milk. In other words, because you didn't go enough trouble making it, you killed a good taste and made a failure. Uraraka makes an assertion. My first tea is this crap? Uraraka laments over her misfortune.
It had begun in monotone, but the longer she spoke, the more she sounded normal. And by the end, she sounded just like the original, a detail that didn't pass over Recovery Girl.
My first tea is this crap? Uraraka laments over her misfortune.
The old lady then burst into laughter. This was just too good not to do so. Yet another clone showing clear emotions, another defective one like a few before her. She wondered how the evil lord would react to finding out about this deviation, but this gave her an idea.
We'll get better tea by moving experiments outside, and outdoor studies could benefit the specimens,
the old one proposed, knowing that this could cause a chain reaction.
Outside?
The young clone wondered upon hearing her creator.
What is the world outside the research institute like?
9982 asked in first person, but most important of all, in a normal voice.
Unlike here, that's filled with the stench of uncountable drugs. The outside air is actually pretty good,
Tsuneshi answered with a cackle.
The outside atmosphere has ingredients that stimulate the palate?
In shock, 9982 reacted while looking at the old lady in front of her. The streets are jam-packed with people, though, the assistant whined.
People are stored in jam containers?
The less than 2-hour-old girl reacted in terror. Perhaps the outside world was super dangerous. Regardless of the little one's reaction, Chiyo still pushed forward with her plan. If Uraraka 9982 managed to be able to blend with ordinary people, then she would be allowed to go to the outside world. The lab assistant then noticed a minor problem that could arise, so she pointed it out. Just what would happen if 9982 were to counter the original? Recovery Girl just laughed it off, saying that the chances of that happening were astronomically low, almost complete zero, so there was no need to worry about such an event. This sparked curiosity within the clone, which made her reach out to her creator to ask a question.
What's the original?
Once more, her emotions were noticeable.
Well, going by the codename Sisters, I would say that she's your big sister. Big sister?
982 was then taken to start combat training, but before arriving at the training room, she was told to clean up a special test room alongside 5 other clones first. She agreed to do this and went ahead with the additional copies. Bloody, almost unrecognizable chunks of meat filled the room once lit up. Some sister corpses adorned the corners as well, their blood pooling up to the extent of making the floor hard to see. Whoever had done this had been quite creative with the executions. Pure terror filled 982's mind as she realized that what happened to them would eventually be done to her as well. It was an inevitable part of being a sister. This she learned on that day as she held in the tears while disposing of the bodies. Both girls stared at each other now. Nobody else was nearby this part of the park. Their silent stare down lasted until an unexpected response was given by one of them.
Yeah,
the clone exclaimed in a very cute manner.
Yeah?
Ochako was left in total confusion.
Could it be that she's speaking the sacred language of the Neko gods? Does this mean that I'm finally worthy of joining our feline overlords? Ugh! Don't be stupid, Ochako. There's no such thing. You're probably imagining things due to fatigue. Yeah, that must be it. Yeah, the four-legged creature said, being in trouble.
9882 pointed towards a small black cat stuck in a tree branch nearby.
Oh, she meant the cat.
Uraraka face-palmed her forehead upon realizing this.
When I was passing through the street earlier, I discovered that a baby had been left behind in a parked car. Knowing that the waiting time for a hero to arrive tends to be over 20 minutes on average, and that this would be detrimental to its health, I used my quirk to open the lock. This caused the dark creature to be frightened and climb up the tree. Now it cannot get down. Uraraka explains the whole situation in great detail.
After hearing all that, Railgun was left speechless. This girl not only looked like her, but she also appeared to be an Electromaster as well. Not only that, but she also distrusted heroes, refusing to wait for them to arrive and instead taking action herself to solve the problem. Uraraka felt great respect for the individual next to her who shared her looks. The little kitten then slipped off the tree, but Ochako caught it, falling over in the process. As she was standing up, though, the cat jumped off her hands and into the grass below. It seemed to dislike Ochako for some reason.
But where's your visor? Uraraka asked, pointing out the missing support item. Visor? Why would I need one of those?
Ochako asked, once more confused by what the copy was saying.
And why do you keep calling yourself Uraraka? That's my last name.
The girl kept to herself. The schoolgirl in front of her began to tremble a bit after what she heard. Even her lip was quivering.
Are you, by any chance, the original?
Uraraka 9982 asked, holding herself back as much as possible.
Of course I am! I'm the one and only Ochako Uraraka, the original.
Her exclaimed words being interrupted as she was hugged very tightly by 9982.
Big sister!
Holding back tears, the little sister just held on tightly, never wanting to let go. The usually hot-headed girl was now petrified. The experiment was real. 20,000 clones had been created from her DNA map, and now she was being hugged by one of them. A feeling unlike any other surfaced from within, one that made her feel warm. Tears escaped her eyes like torrents as she finally returned the gesture. Her heart accelerated to never-before-seen levels as she finally realized that she was no longer alone in this world. She had been given a younger sister.
Big sis, I can't breathe.
The younger sibling cried out.
Oh, sorry.
Ochako said quickly, letting go, moving a little back in embarrassment. The experience of almost dying to her older sister's hug left 9982 a bit traumatized, but even with that, she wanted to try it again, to hug her big sister once more.
Hey!
Ochako suddenly exclaimed, trying to get the little sister's attention.
Let me teach you something. That small cutie over there is a kitten. Kitten? Yep, kitten. That's what you call a child cat.
In full older sister mode, she explained.
Wow!
Such a cute sound escaped the younger one as she had learned her very first thing from her big sister. Following this, Ochako also taught her that many animals could seem frightened of them, but this was only because they were scared off by the electricity that their bodies produced. The young sibling looked at her older sister with admiration. She knew so many things that she had never heard about.
So, can I ask some questions?
Uraraka then asked.
Of course!
The little sister exclaimed, thinking that now she would have the chance to teach her big sister something.
Why were you created if the project was canceled? I'm sorry, but that's classified information.
The younger sibling responded. She was looking at the floor because she didn't feel comfortable after failing to respond to the question in a satisfactory manner.
I see.
Ochako let out, keeping her thoughts to herself.
You must have programmed her to be unable to leak such information. How dare those assholes restrict my little sister like that? Once I find them, I'll let them taste my nails. Forgive me.
9882 said in sobs. Tears were coming out from her eyes.
Hey, don't cry. I understand.
The older sister said in a reassuring tone.
Want some ice cream to make you feel better?
She then asked. The young one's eyes lit up upon hearing those two words, almost as if they had reactivated her happiness.
Ice cream? Yes, please. I want some.
9882 replied excitedly, making it obvious that she loved the frozen treat.
And let's go get some.
Ochako grabbed 9882's hand and ran off to a nearby ice cream shop. The siblings ate ice cream together, sharing a few bites to have a good taste of each flavor. Then they went to a fancy cafe. 9882 had requested it, and her big sister was more than happy to please her. In there, they had some cake with tea. This time, 9882 complimented the tea as it had been made correctly, unlike her first experience drinking this beverage. Wanting this to last forever, Uraraka took her little sister to the mall, avoiding her school group at all cost. They shared many little moments, first in the arcade playing many games, secretly using their quirks to cheat the system. This was followed by their photo shoot, one that ended up in failure as the photos failed to print. Ochako was forced to control herself upon seeing the failed message because otherwise she would have blown up the mall into tiny pieces. Regardless of the setback, they kept going, holding hands all the way.
Are you sure that I can do this, big sis? Of course you can. Believe in yourself. Okay, here I go. The video you are watching is sponsored by ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN allows you to change your IP address, making it harder to track, securing your privacy. Pretty ironic that two Electromaster presenting this sponsor, huh? Big sis, don't interrupt me. My bad, you can continue now. Ahem. So like I was saying, in addition to providing safe passage to the web, you can also expand the reach of your favorite streaming services like Disney+. If you're from the United States, you'll be able to watch any of the MCU and Sony Spider-Man movies, but by switching your location to Japan, you can access them whenever you want. Check out the link down in the description to get 3 extra months when you purchase a 12-month subscription plan that costs $9.99 a year. This deal's for a limited time, so don't miss it. Told you that you could do it. Thanks to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video.
Night soon befell the city, and both sisters were now outside the mall. 982 being the one leading this time, as Uraraka didn't have a plan at the moment. But as the sisters saw the hour projected by a nearby monitor, she turned around. And with a saddened look, she confronted her older sibling.
I'm sorry, big sister, but I need to get going now. Wait, can I come with you?
Ochako asked, her expression showing off how despair was beginning to surface.
No, you cannot. Then at least let me give you my address and phone number. Give me a second.
The older sister exclaimed, kneeling down and pulling out a notebook from her backpack. As Ochako was desperately writing, 982's attention shifted toward a cute little keychain hanging from the backpack. It was an adorable all-night keychain.
Here, call this number at any time. I'll be sure to answer it no matter what.
The girl said, while handing over the ripped page, only to see that her younger sister wasn't paying attention. Instead, She was looking intently at the All Might keychain that she, by now, had stolen, inspecting it as if it were a mysterious artifact.
Hey, stealing is bad!
Ochako then yelled, trying to get it back but getting her hand slapped away.
No!
She cried, holding her now red hand, calming down and deciding on something.
Don't be interested in that fraud. He's no hero.
The little sister finally met her sister's gaze again, and with a pouty face, she looked away right after.
You're wrong! This is All Might, the #1 hero! He saves everyone!
A flame of anger was created with the nail gun upon hearing these words.
That worthless piece of shit can't save those that matter! He doesn't deserve your praise! Let's burn the cursed keychain and be done with him! No,
9882 said with a serious look.
Since you show clear sign of distaste towards this piece of merchandise, I'll be keeping it.
Hearing this from her younger sibling made Ochako sad, but knowing that she seemed to like it, she decided to give it to her.
Fine, it's my gift to you, so you never forget about today. Keep it safe, okay?
With a smile, she told her sister. 9882 hugged her sister tightly once more. She was so grateful receiving a gift from her big sister. Uraraka hugged her back and then patted her head, hoping to make her sister feel safe and loved.
Be careful out there and take care. Next time we'll do even more fun stuff, so be sure to be ready,
she said, still stroking her hair. A tear escaped the sister, but knowing that this would alert the original, she wiped it away.
Farewell, big sister,
9882 said as she departed. There would most likely be no next time. A few minutes later, Uraraka 9982 had retrieved her weapon from a locker, and with 5 minutes to spare, she reached a place where the next experiment would take place.
Your kind tends to arrive earlier than this, so what gives?
The man dressed in black and adorned with many hands asked. He seemed impatient tonight.
Forgive Uraraka's lateness. Today's schedule is rather full,
The girl explained, back in her monotone voice.
Not like that will matter for long.
His laughter filled and echoed across the empty alleyway.
Still, it's rather annoying that I'm fighting only one of you this time around, so you better not disappoint.
The girl decided not to respond this time, and instead, she lowered her goggles and raised her F-2020, pointing at her target. If she succeeded tonight, no more sisters would have to die. But most important to her now, she'll be able to return to her big sister. She devised a plan thanks to her ample prep time, one that not even Tomura Shigaraki should be able to survive through.
It is now 2100 hours. 9982nd experiment will now commence.
The now determined clone announced tonight this would end. A wide grin formed under the large hand on the villain's face, and right after, he pounced on the girl. After her little sister's departure, Ochako had broken into another facility under Dr. Garaki's control. She needed answers, narrowing down her search just to approved projects and those in progress. She found the terrifying Decay ship project. It described how someone called Tomura Shigaraki would have to evolve his quirk through live combat. Stage battles would manipulate his growth, and according to simulated results granted by the Yoda supercomputer, if he managed to kill Nailgun 128 times, he would surely reach quirk enlightenment. However, due to the impossibility of securing so many copies of Nailgun, the sisters obtained from this ascended project would have to serve as replacements. By using 20,000 armed sisters in combat scenarios, the shift of Tomura Shigaraki's quirk could be reached. Ochako almost collapsed upon reading it, but a wave of electricity destroyed half of the room after she read the next part. Tonight, experiment number 9982 would be taking place at 9 p.m. Taking out her phone, she screamed as she saw it read 9:05 p.m. It had already started. Quickly, she wrote the absolute coordinates provided on her satellite app, and upon receiving the location, she activated her rampage dress in overdrive mode, destroying everything around her. Then jumping through the hospital and some buildings, she had to reach that place now. The fight between Uraraka 9982 and Tomura Shigaraki had moved to a new location, one filled with many shipping containers. By now, the little sister had lost both her visor as well as her rifle, so she was now fighting from a distance. Her left arm had been broken earlier, being stomped by the evil man, but this didn't slow down the clone. Now with 3 iron sand shurikens, she defended herself by throwing them and then calling them back with the help of electromagnetism. Every time she tried to attack her foe with them, they were redirected elsewhere, the support bracelets on her wrist glowing every time this happened. Now closer to the next step of her plan, she threw them again and once reflected. She only had 2 of them returning to her, the third would be doing something else.
You're out of new moves? I was impressed of your little ninja stars, but nothing else? I know that you're quite stronger than the rest, but if that's all that you can do, then you're just a joke.
The young apprentice of evil laughed hauntingly, wanting to see if this would trigger the girl to run at him. Dissolving the 2 shurikens in her hand, she smiled. It was about to happen.
It It may be true that I haven't fully grasped the capabilities of your quirk yet, but judging from the results of the experiment so far, I can conclude that it involves something similar to organic and inorganic matter destruction. Furthermore, the two support wrist items that you're always wearing appear to be capable of redirecting any type of electric attack that's shot at you, glowing blue right after each time a redirection occurs. Thus, a surprise attack might be the most effective approach. And thanks to your cluelessness, Uraraka has succeeded in moving you to the intended area.
At that moment, the previously missing iron sand shuriken went through many containers, cutting them open and releasing some of the flour from within. Catching it, the girl smirked and shot out an electric shot from her hair into the floor, hitting one of the 100 landmines that she had planted earlier. The whole place was leveled by the combination of the landmines alongside the dust explosion, sending their creator flying back with the blast. The girl internally rejoiced. He had to be dead now. Elsewhere, in the alleyway, Ochako had found her sister's now broken goggles, but her attention soon shifted toward the loud explosion nearby.
Target neutralized!
982 announced in pure joy, jumping up and down. But then she was grabbed from behind. Her leg was being held by the thigh by someone.
That won't be enough to kill me, brat!
Shigaraki shouted, very annoyed that a first root rat had almost wiped him out. He then began to decay the leg until he was about to jank it, ripping it clean off. The girl screamed and immediately summoned all her quirk's power, but it was redirected toward her, sending her back to the floor. The redirected attack had made the All Might keychain fall off her skirt pocket. Shigaraki then picked it up with 2 fingers and grew confused.
You believe in this bozo? That he will save you? Ha! Don't make me laugh,
he shouted, throwing it a few meters away. 982 cried as she crawled through the rocky floor, trying to reach her sister's gift. There was no hope anymore, but at least she wanted to have within her grasp before Shigaraki finished her off.
Oh? Still clinging to the hope of being saved by him? Well, time to test out if he's a true hero.
Using the electromagnetic waves from the support items on his wrist, Tomura began to try levitating one of the many nearby shipping containers. Once he noticed he could, he made it go high into the sky. 982 reached the small keychain and held it to her chest, remembering how it felt being hugged by her older sister. Ochako, from very far away, witnessed this and even worse when she saw the shipping container fall at high speeds, crushing her. Something within her mind snapped beyond repair after witnessing that.
And that concludes today's experiment,
Shigaraki announced while stretching out, his wrist support items now glowing red. Maybe he should buy a new game to celebrate. Hopefully they're able to clean it up. Huge lightning bolts destroyed everything around him. They had barely been able to be reflected. Humongous streaks of blue lightning surrounded Ochako Uraraka, turning purple at the edges. The section of the concrete bridge she had been on collapsed as she launched herself from there until she almost reached the murder of her little sister. With overflowing rage, Nailgun rushed forward at full speed to erase the person who had taken everything away from her. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. If you're on the move for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has you covered. Our We the Celestials My Hero Academia and our Intuitive channels, we tell the story of the namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Now on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, I'd like to send an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years old to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fills your interest by joining our crew in Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. And if you want more content from me, check out my Twitch at TrinaDoHeart and also my Twitter and YouTube as well. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have a great day.